One of the things that's really hard for people to do in any topic in life is to recognize the difference between I like it personally, but what I like is maybe outside the norm. What does that have to do with comics? Well, every now and then, well, not every now and then, almost every time actually, I'll do a topic and I'll bring up some points. I see it on both groups, both sides, where I'll mention, hey, here's a business fact about comics. Now, what do we think of it? And I love the conversation when people come in. We debate kind of the different ways that you can interpret that fact, what it means, what the solution is. The frustrating ones are the ones who want to argue the fact themselves. Like, for example, I love I did the video on why number one issues, the constant relaunches, are failing in attracting new readers. And I have people coming in saying, no, they're not. They are attracting new readers. It's like, no, there's factual evidence to show that it's not. But you live in that kind of bizarro world, which is it's fine for me, therefore it's fine for everyone. How do we get past that? Why is that such a struggle in comics? Hey everybody, this is Perch. It is a tough topic because it is very hard to feel, I think, enough self confidence, and I really think that's the root of it. Enough self confidence that you can go, I like this thing. This thing is good for me. This thing works for me. But I recognize that my experience may be different from others, and I also recognize even that if I like something, maybe the thing I like isn't healthy. I use this example a lot because I just think it's a really good one. I like David Lynch as a director, as a filmmaker. I think he's really incredible. I'm dismayed because we're starting to get they hit Stanley Kubrick and now they're going after David Lynch for being toxic masculinity director, and it's like it's sad. It's like why are we doing that? But I, I I could go off on a complete rant on that. But anyway, David Lynch is a very visionary, very artistic director, and also very niche in the sense that you like him, you don't like him. And there's a lot more people that dislike him than like him. Now, something I would love to see is them reboot the Transformers franchise. That's why I played with as a kid. Loved Transformers, and I'd like to see David Lynch direct it. David Lynch's Transformers. I think that would be a beautiful train wreck. It just I'd love to see it. Him working with kind of I think that would be amazing. Now, even though I think that would be amazing and it would work for me on at least some level, not maybe not all the levels, but at least some level it would work for me. They should absolutely not do that. That would be a terrible decision. It'd be a terrible decision for the studio, for anyone trying to make money. You shouldn't do that. David Lynch should not direct Transformers. That's a bad idea for the studio, but a good idea for me. When it comes to comics, there's a lot of things, and you particularly see it, I think, with new fans that are coming into comics, people who are really enjoying kind of a lot of the new style. Slice of life is the wrong way to put it, but you came into comics, you read Scott Pilgrim, you're reading more of the indie stuff. You enjoy frequenting a indie bookstore as opposed to a Barnes and Noble or a comic shop. You like that kind of vibe, you like that feel, you like the conversations you have with those people. It all works for you. That's cool. The problem is that segment, that type of book, is not a mass market book. And when you apply that style to, say, the X-Men or the Avengers or to Batman, it doesn't fit. Now, there's a lot of creators who would like it to fit because that's the kind of story they would like to read. And just like me, like wanting to see David Lynch do Transformers, there's a group that would love to see, and it would be the most brilliant thing in the world to see, Joe Glass take over Batman or Raina Telgemeier take over the X-Men. That would really work for some people, but it wouldn't work for the property as a whole. Now, you may be listening to this going, well, how do you know? Let's give it a try. Well, true. Maybe miracle upon miracles, it would just hit. It would just be the right thing at the right time, but the odds are against it. And that's saying nothing against a Joe Glass or Raina Telgemeier, or I don't know why I picked those two names in particular, but go down the list. Nothing against those people. They have their own stories that they can tell. And in Raina Telgemeijer's case, unlike Joe Glass, she's really, really successful. She's, multi-million dollar franchise of her books. And part of why she's been so successful and made that kind of money and had that kind of impact is she knows what she writes well. She knows her market. She knows what to do with it. And to Scholastic's credit, they know how to, sign her to a contract and keep her happy and give her more projects. It's a win-win for everyone. You don't see Scholastic trying to force her to write, you know, a clone of the X-Men. You don't see Marvel. Well, maybe you see Marvel. I don't know. Maybe Marvel is trying to recruit Raina Telgemeijer to come on and like write Spider-Man. I have no. I doubt it though. They would be idiots to do that. That would be a bad decision. It would blow up what Raina Telgemeijer is good at. It would not cross over to their audience. It wouldn't fit the property. All that kind of stuff. But there are, especially I notice again with two fan groups. Number one, people who are brand new to comics who came in from the indie world and get, I would say, so semi militant about, this works for me, therefore shut up. It needs to work for everyone. There's a very strong degree of intolerance. The other group is kind of what I would call the 90s comic group, the people who are really loved that era of comics and they want all the comics to return to that. Now, why do I pick on those guys? Because you can say, well, wait a minute, hang on. The 90s sold a ton of comics. Yes, the first half did. The second half was the bankruptcy implosion part of the 90s, and that's why you don't go back to the 90s. If suddenly you waved a magic wand and it's like, all right, the X-Men reads and feels exactly like the 90s, it wouldn't work. Why am I so sure? Because at different times Marvel has tried and it hasn't hit. Now, okay, granted, they haven't, brought Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, and all those guys back and thrown them on the book. And if they did that based on their names, there would probably be a lot of success. But that would be because of creators, not because you're just cloning the 90s. The world does move forward. We're moving in one direction as a timeline, and you can't just pick the most amazing era and go back and just recreate it. We know this. We know this from movies, from books, from shows, and from comics. Nostalgia will sell, but it's a different beast than the original lightning in a bottle that you caught the first time. You have to have a better plan than that. And it goes back to there's stuff that we love, that I love. I'm with you, person who's angry at this video right now. I'm with you. There are lots of things that I really, really love that I wish I got more of. But I do also have to have the self awareness to recognize that some of the things I love are mass market products and they make good business sense, and others are not. And it's just dismissing anything that doesn't fit what I personally like is a mistake. It's blind. It won't lead to business, and it fails the basic homework test of figuring out where a property fits. This is at the end of the day, there's a lot of subjective opinions around what works and what doesn't, and what's good for comics and what isn't. But there's also another factor, and that's business. And business is not really subjective. Business, we have numbers to look at, we have graphs to look at, we have data. I can look at, for example, I can look at White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy, and I can look at that series, and I can look at where number one debuted, and I can look at how the whole series played out, issue over issue, and I see, aha, that comic had less than a 10% drop from the first issue to the last issue. That's a success. It didn't lose its audience. Most comics, statistically, most audience is about 85% of them lose their audience from issue 1 to issue 8. You can map it up against the X-Men. You can match it up against Superman. You can match it up against even Tom King's Batman, all kinds of other Batman titles. And the same chart will play out. This is math. It's not subjective opinions. It's math. And so part of what I do in these videos and what I try to do, not always successfully, I'm not going to say that I've been always successful with it, is to just lay out the data and to say, hey, this is your opinion. I get it. You're welcome to your opinion. I'm not trying to change your opinion. If you like a comic, you like a comic. Nothing, again, nothing wrong with that. But here's some data to at least help you assess if your opinion is for you alone or should be applied to the rest of the market. And I guess the other reason why I put forward things this way, argue this way, is that when you're going in to have a debate with someone else, if you find yourself in fights, if you're on Twitter and you just damn those Twitter people who are always giving other opinions and toxic fans and trolls and bad people and all the rest. Um, this I try and give you reasons why the person you're arguing with may be arguing the way they are, why they're coming at things with this perspective. Maybe it's because they're a crazy troll asshole, or maybe it's because they're coming at you with different data. And if you understand that data, either A, you'll change your mind, B, you'll be a lot more tolerant of their viewpoint and not change your mind, or C, you'll at least be comforted in the fact that you are dealing with somebody who has a different opinion for not just insane reasons. It helps me anyway. I like to know if I'm arguing with a lunatic or with somebody who's just got a different opinion than mine. I can do business with one, I can't the other. The lunatic's clearly the person I can do business with. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, that's it. It was interesting to me. It's always interesting to me. When I roll these videos out, and particularly we're talking about changes to comics. It is a fact that art styles have shifted over the years. It's a fact that women are drawn less curvy today than they are, than they were 20 years ago. This is a fact. Now, the reason why this has happened is up to a lot of debate. We've talked about that. But it's a fact that there has been a change. I'm not sitting here saying the change is bad or that, oh my God, the world's on fire and look what's gone wrong. I'm saying here's the change, here's some reasons for that change, and here's some things behind it. And by the way, yes, in any case, you can find examples that are the opposite, disprove. But generally speaking, we see these trends in comics. What do they mean? Do they map up to things? I will tell you that just on that topic, because this is in the other video and it came up a little bit. I don't believe that the decline in the direct market or the decline in the big two, being Marvel and DC, I don't believe that the softening of numbers of the middle and lower tier has anything to do with the curviness of the women. I think it has to do with constant relaunches. I think it has to do with art being random and sometimes creative teams bouncing after two issues. I think that has a much bigger factor, and I've tried to lay out evidence of that. It's easier, granted, to say, hey, the boobs aren't big enough, therefore the sales aren't there. That's an easy answer, and in many ways, I wish that easy answer was the correct one, because pretty easy solution there. You get some extra bottles of ink and you go to town on those boobs, and then sales problem fixed. But it's not that simple. There's more to do with it than that, and that's kind of where I like to look at these details. And it's most importantly, it's where I think for all of us, it's important to draw the distinction between what you like, what works for you, what your experience is, and what may be true for the greater market, and feel comfortable. The crazy part is, just because your opinion may not be the popular one or the experience of others doesn't mean that it's not a valid opinion. It is. In fact, it's the most valid opinion to you. It's you. You know what you like. Getting comfortable with that fact is, I don't know, in my mind, it's the key to life. But what do you think? Leave a comment below. Like, subscribe, follow me on social media, email, all that kind of stuff. Most importantly, though, and I mean it, even when you disagree, you go through and piece by piece. I always like the people, by the way, who disagree, and then they put the timestamp of all the places they disagree with me on. You're going to a lot of trouble. I thank you for it. Actually, I believe it or not, some guy did it like a couple days, just 2 days ago. And I went and I clicked on the timestamps. I'm like, let's see what he was after. It's like, oh, okay, cool, thank you. He's refuting my points in real time. I'm thankful for that. This is nifty. I think you're way too much work. I don't know why you're doing that, but I'm personally thankful. I feel like you're giving me a gift. Um, I'm weird. Thanks for listening.